Hello, hello. This is another build showcase for hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades. Been playing around with the build planner. This is actually the second time recording this because I actually had audio issues, and well, because these modules don't save the wirings and there's certain settings yet, I had to spend time like rewiring everything, so I just took a break from this. But other than that, we're back, and in between the first recording and this recording, some bug fixes occurred. So one main circuitry or build I kind of want to show off, kind of the main feature which kind of utilized for my targets course is the SR latch. Now, what's cool about this is that it is a special circuit thing that's kind of used for flip flops and T flops, F flops, D flops. So I don't know. I'm not really a electrical engineer. It's been a while since I did circuits. Learned this from the H3VR Discord. But what's useful about this setup is that it helps to enable you to save a bit or save information. So this is SR latch. You have the set and you have the reset button, hence the name. So let's say that if you want two outputs, you go, okay, well, I want to store a value. Okay, well, boop, this is stored. So now this is true, this is false. These values are stored. But what's cool is that if you keep pressing this, nothing happens. The value is stored. So no matter what input you have, it's set unless you reset it. So technically this S and R could be used vice versa depending on your orientation, but that's what this basically does. Kind of like stores the value. Most of the time when this only stays true unless you hold it, but with this it kind of stores the value somewhere. So this is pretty useful in building, and this is what my course kind of focuses around. So here is my course that I built. I use steel targets and buttons because at the time the pop-ups weren't working properly, and there's also one other error that occurred, but that should be fixed now in the latest build. So that's why I kind of use this setup. Also, I had to use this setup because this of a feature or a gimmick that I wanted to try out. So this can get a little complicated, but here's kind of the wiring for most of this. Let's go and see here. As you can see here, this is the SR latch circuitry, and what I turned it into basically as a kind of stoplight traffic light system. So it starts off with this light on here. When I press this button, it's going to send a signal here. This will light up, and then another signal will traverse here. And once it goes through here, it sends it back here, turning this off and turning this one on. And let's try it out. Saying that you can go. And then here, you can reset it. So that's one build or feature. Our component is here. This here is basically my quote unquote track selector. So with the new module, the indexer module, I can basically activate different sets of targets to my choosing. So let's go to track 0, because the way computers count, they start at 0 array or index. That blue light tells me that, hey, these targets are selected. If I go to 1, that blue light turns on, those are selected. And then you have track 2, those are selected back there. Now when I click start, the countdown goes down. It's going to send a true signal here, activating this track or the components over here. When that does, it's going to also activate this clock. Normally I had to do this configuration because the first time I built this, the clock input was not working. What the clock does is that it has an input telling, hey, activate your pulses or deactivate your pulses. And then you have an output shooting those pulses. You can set basically how often or how fast the clock would do those pulses of true. Also, you have the randomizer. You can randomize between true and false or an integer output. Currently, this is set up to do a random integer between 0, 1, 2, and 3, which lines up with this indexer. So when this, let's say, goes to index 0, it'll basically light up this red light here saying, hey, shoot this target. Now, what with this also SR latch here, I've made it so that if the only way to complete a target is if you shoot the button when the light is red, meaning that it does nothing. Also, the track has to be activated as well. So basically, kind of like an AND gate, and boom, makes this true. And basically, you kind of go through all 4 targets and you're good to go. Now, because this is a random clock, there are chances that the red will appear in the same targets you already completed. So this is not really meant for time, but just as a test gimmick as of right now, about, lane switching and making sure, hey, can you sync shots with, hey, shoot this shot first. So let's go to track 0, get my sidearm, and get ready. Blue light's active, saying that this is what we're working with, and my potato aim. See, I went back there again. So actually, let me try and shoot this when this is... See, does not turn green. Now it's just a waiting game for the last target. Cool. Once all is green, basically say, hey, you hit all the targets at the correct callouts. Just like how this button resets this countdown, it can reset these targets as well. Because again, they're all SR latches. So we can now go to track 1. Let's get something more better magnification. And start. Again, with the clock, you can set how fast the red will show up and stay on target. Again, once you're on the last one, it's just a waiting game until it's ready to pop. There we go. That was track 2. Again, the way that this works is that this is also connected to basically an indexer, which kind of controls the different lanes. One thing I noticed that if you get too far from the main wire gun, you kind of lose sight on the connection unless it's close to you. Let's actually clear up the wires, make it more easier to see. Again, let's reset everything. Let's go to track 2. Bring out the scoped rifle. Again, not the best shot, but let's to try it out. There, that blue light signifying that that lane is now active. $50-50. Waiting game. I think that's set for 6 seconds on target. Oh. Now waiting for the last one. Patience. Yeah, if this was going to be an actual target challenge to make it actually more time trial worthy, this waiting probably not a good gimmick, but again, I'm just testing gimmicks and mechanics. But yeah, this is my showcase. Hopefully, eventually, I think talking to some of the devs, Anton, Nathan, and Luke, they're working on more modules. Hopefully, we can compact some of these things and get more features. Again, what I kind of want is an actual steel target where if you hit it, it kind of acts like a button where it sends out a true signal, so I don't have to use these buttons right here. For now, I think these are fixed, so I might maybe redo this, but with the pop-ups. But yeah, maybe get this SR latch system in a single module would be super great. But yeah, pop-up should be fixed by the time this vid releases. Clock should be fixed as well. But yeah, that's my build. In the main showcase of the SR latch and kind of like how you can creatively use the indexer as a multi-lane system. But yeah, hope this gets some creative juices flowing and share in the Discord.